Hey, hi Tesla shareholders. All my weekly Tesla analysis videos, I focus on the technical charts and the news that matters regarding Tesla to save you time from monitoring constantly. So let's take a look at the technical charts to see where the stock is going next. This is Tesla's stock chart, which I've been drawing for many weeks now to months now. And this green box here is my prediction box on where I think Tesla stock will go to. So in this week's video is within my prediction box here, and where do I think Tesla stock will go next. So to determine where it's going to go next, let me give you a little bit of my thought process, and I'll perhaps remove some of my past lines to make it less complicated. This yellow line here I drew for you to tell you guys this is the initial entry, and how I predicted all this price movement upwards here is actually all in my past videos. So I'm just going to remove some lines here because they are irrelevant now because of the way the stock has been moving. Okay, so I'm just going to remove some. So to understand how you draw lines, you need to kind of take a reference to the past on actually what happened to the stock price. Like how I draw this green line over here is I actually took reference to two resistance points to plot the line down. And how I drew this thick red line here is because I took reference to many past high points here. And the same goes for these purple lines which I explained. Every single line I drew here is explained in my weekly analysis videos. And so today I'm just going to explain like roughly how I think the stock will go and the new lines that I will draw. You see, as a stock price move like that, and if I were to draw a line that goes like that and probably goes like that, these lines here don't make sense because there's no stocks that can actually go this direction up permanently and consistently, because what you're looking for is some kind of trend where you know that is reasonable, and over the long term the lines would stay as it is. So you need to be as accurate at this as possible. And we all know Tesla stock if it's going to move like that for the next 10 years, we all know it's highly unlikely. So I'm just going to zoom out the chart and we will look at the long-term movement of Tesla charts. So I'm just going to zoom all the way out to what happened last time. And how do you get a reference for this? It's actually pretty simple. I'm just going to take a long-term chart where I'll just click 5 years. Okay, so this is Tesla chart for the last ever since it kind of like IPO and it moved upward. So you've got to take a very long-term view. My long-term view for these purple lines has come true already. As I mentioned, when it busts this purple line, it probably shoot up a lot, and it did happen over here. Okay, so now there is no reference to this shooting upwards, and probably if we go the long-term line, can we see is there any reference at all? So in tradingview.com, I will usually go to this thing called a regression trend. So we can actually form a kind of like a trend section to see how far Tesla will go. So I'm just going to go just before the shot up, and I'll go all the way until now and see what the regression trend has plotted. So this is what it came out with. If you look at this is, if for the past 5 years Tesla chart has been moving at this trend. So it's highly likely, since the past 5 years Tesla has been moving at this trend, it will be likely that for the next 1 year at least Tesla will kind of like follow this trend too. You understand this, right? So by looking at this kind of let us form a judgment on where is it high now, and does it need some kind of healthy retracements, because again I mentioned there's no such thing as one way up and no way down. There is no such thing. It needs time to move up, and small retracements are needed for the long-term growth of stocks. Like for example, if you look at Amazon, I'm just going to type AMZN. Even stocks like Amazon, it takes time to move up. Even in the super fast move up, there is always zigzag up. So let's go back to Tesla. Anyway, Amazon is a very extreme example here. Let's go back to Tesla over here. If you look at Tesla now, you see the regression trend here, and you realize it's at its top of its trend. So that the only time where it surpassed this trend over here was during this period of time. This was during the 2017 time. This is, I think, the time where Elon launched the Roadster Semi, the news, and also I think the Model 3 news. So probably this was a very bullish time. Over here was the famous, I think, 420 tweet. I don't talk about that anymore, but at least he learned his lesson. So now, 1 year later, we are back up here at its highest point. To me, the upside now, as the probability of going up is further less than the probability of the stock coming downward. So you roughly understand where my stand is for Tesla charts now. So this is the daily charts over here. And where do I see Tesla chart moving forward? Because I think it's at its high now. Just now we saw from a reference that, you know, it's at its highest of its trend. I do not want to bet against trend, but probably I'll move my green box just a little bit higher. If you have any correlation for the past 5 years, probably 440 would be its top, and I will actually foresee the stock retracing back a little bit. Doesn't mean I'm bearish against the stock. I'm always bullish in the long run because it's still a wonderful company, one of the best companies I've seen in my life, and also this is one of the companies that, you know, going to change the world. I want you to look at this thing called volume. Volume are the green bars over here at the bottom. Okay, so green is usually, like, green bars here are like a lot of buyers coming in, and red bars are a lot more sellers. So if you see from the past, you see there is big volume moving the stock price up, and you see with every kind of like high volume spike, there is a lot of movement. You see there's a lot of movement moving the stock price. And you see, okay, so for example here, there was a gap down, and volume came in to buy up the stock because they think it was cheap. And again, you look at every big movement, there is volume. If I were to scroll out more, you see volume. There is a lot of volume spikes. But this time, you see over here, volume is drying up. So this is the part where I think that, you know, Tesla stock is going to retrace a little bit as volume dries up, but however, in the long term, it's still good, right? I'm not asking you to sell your stock now. I'm still holding on to my stock because I do not like to try to time the market. Timing the market usually doesn't do me well, and if you have seen my video on how I made like $130,000 on Tesla stock, you'll understand why I try not to time the market over the long term. Short term, I may use options to try to profit money, but over the long term, I'll just buy and hold, and probably that is the best strategy according to my past 10 years of experience investing in the stock market. So this is the technical charts, and I hope you like it. By the way, could you help just give this video a like? It really helps a lot out in the channel. So moving on to the news. Tesla is to take a $1.4 billion loan from a Chinese bank for Shanghai Gigafactory. So this is a very good news. Probably is one of the news that actually kind of pushed the stock up. So in terms of yuan, it's about 10 billion yuan. Okay, and it's a 5-year loan from China banks. Okay, so the banks that are involved are these banks: China Construction Bank, Agriculture Bank. Okay, these are the few banks. And let me tell you something. All these banks here are owned or part owned by the China government. Remember earlier, Tesla took up a 12-month bridging loan of 3.5 billion yuan, and this needs to be repaid on the 4th March next year. So part of the 10 billion yen loan over here is to actually repay part of the 3.5 billion, and the rest is for them to continue expansion and probably build more service centers and stuff for Tesla China, right? At the rates that Tesla is getting at 90% on the 1-year benchmark rate, means that this rate is one of the best rates that China can offer. So you can see again a lot of help from the government, and they really want to help Tesla in what they do. Tesla announces the start of Made in China Model 3's deliveries starting 30th December. It's a great achievement for the company. They are going to start deliveries of the vehicles built in a factory that didn't exist less than a year ago. But while all this timeline is fast, it's going to give Tesla less than 2 full days to deliver cars in China before the end of the year. See, as previously reported, Tesla is trying to sell almost all their cars in inventory before the end of the quarter. We have seen Tesla ship hundreds of cars out of the Gigafactory 3 already, and if they are ready at the delivery center, they could deliver more than 1,000 cars within the next 2 days, and it's going to help a lot to achieve the 360,000 cars delivered in 2019 milestone. Tesla launches a $2,000 acceleration boost from 0-60 to 3.9 seconds in the Tesla Model 3 Dual Motor. The improvement of acceleration from 4.4 seconds to 3.9 seconds with just an over-the-air update. You know, this is like crazy shit. If you were to do this to a traditional ICE cars, modifications from a bigger turbo to a better cooling system for your engine and several software modifications can easily set you back like $4,000 to $5,000. If you ask me if it's worth the upgrade, of course it is worth the upgrade. Let me explain to you, and let's go tesla.com to listen to this explanation. You see, the price of a long range Model 3 Dual Motor starting price is at about $48,000, and the performance edition over here is at $56,000. So you think about it, with a $2,000 upgrade, which brings this up to $50,000, okay, you're paying $2,000 more, your 4.4 seconds becomes 3.9 seconds, which is just slightly off the performance version, okay, and you are paying much lesser because the base price for performance is already like $8,000 more. Just by paying $2,000 more, you are getting 3.9 seconds, and on top of that, you have actually longer range than the performance. The performance edition has 310 miles, but the long range you have 322 miles. So can you imagine this? Just by paying $2,000 more, you kind of have like the middle best of both worlds, where you have a longer range and your acceleration is 3.9 seconds. So if you ask me if it's worth it, definitely it is worth it. So let's talk about Tesla shorts. Tesla bear Mark Spiegel, an outright donkey, reduced his Tesla short position. He reduced his position by a massive 10%. This stupid bear. In conclusion of this entire video, actually there's not much like negative out there anymore, and that is actually reflecting in Tesla's stock price. However, I mentioned during the technical chart segment, the volume is drying up. We may see a short retracement, which is again perfectly normal, a healthy retracement before the next move up. So if you like this weekly analysis series, do help give me a like for this YouTube algorithm. I'll highly appreciate it. Thank you, and invest safe.